Hi and welcome back to the UTF podcast with me, Elliott Cuff, and my co-host, Gavin Barrett. It's been a while. We've been away for a fair while.
It's been a long time.
I think it was 8 months since our last upload, or at least the last time we uploaded a podcast. We've had a couple of other bits and pieces got up on the channel, but... to be honest, we weren't going to bother doing it anymore. But Pepsi decided to bankroll us, so now we've got money in the bank. We're back in action.
Thanks to Pepsi for the sponsor. Appreciate it.
We're in a temporary studio at the moment. The one we normally use isn't always accessible. We don't have the ability to just pick and choose when we use it. So this is our temporary digs.
Which hopefully by next week we'll either be back in at least our old one or hopefully a newer studio.
Or something different, yeah.
So hopefully we'll get that sorted for you lot. We also want to let you know with our social media, Twitter got banned for some reason. So we have to make a new one.
Some reason.
Yeah, for some reason.
Yeah.
We'll move on from that. But hopefully you'll all follow our new handle, which will be in the description below. And make sure you press that subscribe button as well to keep up to date with our new content, which is coming in the coming weeks.
We're certainly hoping to be back on the horse now and get stuff out more regularly.
Definitely.
It shouldn't be 8 months between now and the next one.
Well, we hope not.
We hope not. So we've got a couple of discussion points today, a couple of football stories, a little bit about rugby. The Six Nations is obviously on at the moment, and there's a big game coming up in a couple of weeks' time,
Which we will get to. I can't wait.
But we're going to start with what better way to start than with Man United?
Yeah. Well,
obviously they're going for it. Last time we spoke to you, Jose Mourinho was still in charge.
We were debating about
sacking him. You were adamant that he needed to be gone. And a lot's changed in that time.
It got worse.
So, it did get worse.
It got worse. Right. So I think I was right to call that, to be honest, because it did get worse.
It did. It was very bad.
It was all doom and gloom around Old Trafford, and also United fans on social media, at the ground. Everyone was just wondering where the improvement was coming. It just wasn't happening. And then suddenly, Ole Solskjaer comes back, and look where we are now.
Yeah, I'm surprised because there was an awful lot of conversation around his appointment because, people look at the spell he had with Cardiff in the Premier League and it really didn't go very well. All the signings he made kind of fell off, the likes of Joe Baguette and Magnus Wolf Ekram. The Norwegian players he brought in didn't do anything, and people were a bit like, well, if he's done that, is he going to a club like Man United now where he's not going to have that much time to turn things around? It's going to be an immediate fix that he's needed for. Will he be able to do that? And he's done it, really, really well in his credit.
When he came in, I think every United fan thought it was just going to be a temporary appointment to the end of the season. Just get the atmosphere back up Old Trafford. Get everyone's hopes a bit up for next season. Get the right football.
Well, I mean, it was.
Playing.
It was.
That's what I think it was originally.
Mulder have officially loaned him to Man United.
Yeah.
He is contracted with Mulder to go back in the summer.
I think it was literally just generally to get the fans back together with the team again, unite the team again, and somehow he's managed to get the players playing as they should, playing the right brand of football, the United way. He's getting our best players playing well, which we can't say that Mourinho did. People like Paul Pogba, people like Marcus Rashford, people like Anthony Martial, they're all getting back to form. And he seems to be improving everyone else as well.
Also as well.
That's what I mean. He's improving everyone else. Like, for example, Phil Jones has had a couple of good games recently. Chris Smalling, I know he's been injured, but he had a good game on the weekend. I think
people like Victor Lindelof seemingly coming to their own.
Victor Lindelof's been our best centre half this season, and it's been and the Solskjaer just keeps improving. He's been solid, and I think if it stays like it is, obviously it'll be difficult not to give it to him at the end of the season. But I think you have to wait to see if he gets top four.
So where you are now, you wouldn't necessarily give it to him now. I would rather wait.
I wouldn't jump the gun because if, say, obviously this will be out after this, but we have got PSG tonight. We're filming this on Tuesday night. Say, for example, we lose to PSG and then suddenly we have a drop-off and we end up finishing 6th, then it's all downhill from there, innit? So I think the best thing to do would be wait till the end of the season, see if we get top 4, and then I'd hand in the job.
You're right. I think I said to you something off camera earlier today. I think at most clubs, with the form he's shown so far, he would already have his job. Because, 11 wins out of 12? And the other one was a draw? That's incredible. Such an incredible turnaround that if it was at Everton, for example, he's done. He's already signed and sealed. I think with Man United, they're such a big club, they have the ability to say, no, we're still going to wait, because at the end of the day, they get to the end of the season. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was offered a different job by another club, he'd still rather take the Man United job than anything else. So they know they've got him locked down, basically, if they want him. And it also means that if things don't go well, they can approach other managers, the likes of Zidane, who is I don't think they're ever going to get Mauricio Pochettino, but
He's my number
people
one.
like Zinedine Zidane, who is another one whose name has been talked up a lot, who's obviously a free agent at the moment. But yeah, also the likes of Mauricio Pochettino means they can at least attempt for that. But yeah, it makes sense for a club like Man United to not jump the gun, as you said.
I think, especially with what's made it so much better as well, is the brand of football. Not just that we're winning games again, but it's the brand of football, the way we're winning games, the style of play, and that's the big
back
thing.
to the Manchester United way.
Because even if, say Ollie didn't get 10 wins out of 11 or 11 out of 12, wherever it is now, at least you could say the performances are there, and then that gives us a bit of hope into next season. Because we thought our season was done. We thought, obviously we still got the Champions League, but we thought the top 4 was out of our reach. We were 11 points behind Chelsea. There was a 21 goal difference, I think, between Chelsea and us as well. And since Ollie's took over, we've overtaken Chelsea on both. And that shows how down to, obviously, the way we're playing, scoring goals again, keeping clean sheets. I think it's just the brand of football is more pleasing than anything else. And I can't wait for tonight, I can't wait for the rest of the season. And hopefully, if he does end up going well and we finish top 4, I hope Ollie does get it, because I think he will deserve it at that point.
I'd like to see him get it. He does come across as a really nice guy, a really nice man. He gets, his reputation in football for being one of the nice ones is an important thing. A lot of people assume that managers and top level players have got big egos and that. So it's nice to see someone who genuinely loves the club, has a history. I think it's always nice when you have a manager. Obviously, the most important thing is they work. They have to be successful, but it's always nice when they also played for the club, because there's a bit of an affinity there between the fans and the manager. But going on to Chelsea, though, what you were saying there, yes, what Solskjaer has done with Man United is fantastic. Chelsea are in a really big, sticky situation.
If I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be very worried at the moment. Obviously, I got a couple of friends who are Chelsea fans, and they were at the game on the weekend, the City.
4-0 down after 25 minutes.
I think he said about 75% of the fans left at half time. So yeah, and what's getting worse is what's struggling is Sarri after every game is saying he can't motivate the players. And when you get to that stage, when you haven't got the backing of the players, then it's going to be difficult to recover from that.
Well, they do say in football nowadays that it is a power game, and if the footballers don't want the manager there, it's very easy just to lay down their tools and wait until the manager's inevitably sacked. And when you look at an owner like Roman Abramovich, he's sacked managers that have done much better than Sarri did. He sacked Carlo Ancelotti, finishing second in the Premier League. And I know they're still in the Cup, so it's not the end of the world for Chelsea, but it doesn't look good. Sarri ball, as it's been called online, is not working. You look at the way they line up their team. Jorginho has been really disappointing throughout the season. He hasn't met the heights people thought he would. N'Golo Kante's still playing in an advanced position when he should be more defensive. He is one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, and he's playing in a bizarre new position. Gonzalo Higuain hasn't hit the ground running as many people expected him not to. He hasn't been that good for AC Milan this season. And then you have other players, that are just not performing, like Marcos Alonso. And I personally, I'm not sure on what your opinion is, but I personally don't rate Kepa that much. The keeper. I think he's a good keeper, but I don't think he's worth 75 million, whatever they paid for him.
Yeah, that's one big thing. 75 million, the price tag, but also on the weekend he was at fault for a couple of the goals, I think. And it was. If you expect someone, if you sign for 75 million to make those saves, if you compare him to the other big keepers in the league, like the De Gea's, the Alissons, they make those saves. And
well, I mean, you can look at Liverpool and the goalkeeping issues they've had over the last couple of years. They spent that money to fix the issues, and they've done that. Other than the one or two slip-ups that Alisson's had, he's been very, very good. And like you said, for that amount of money, that's what you want. That's what you're asked. That's what you're demanding. So it does beg the question: why have they spent so much money on? Okay, I know they had to buy a new keeper because they couldn't keep Thibaut Courtois, but it does seem like they've really suffered in that area.
Yeah, and the thing with Sarri at the moment is it's strange because they had a really good start of the season. So it's strange how much they've fallen off and they just decided not to play for him. He thinks he can't motivate the players. And the big thing with Ollie is, for us United fans as well, is the interviews. How he's like in the media. Because Mourinho was always negative, pessimistic. He was always saying, there's no chance we had. So we're lucky to win games and stuff. Whereas all he expects us to, he's saying we want to win every game. He expects to win every game. Even now, people asking about the title. That's the most negative thing he said is the title might be out of our reach. He didn't even say it's definitely out of our reach. He said might be out of our reach. That's the most negative thing he said since come in. Whereas Sarri, when he's saying you can't motivate the players, you've just lost the dressing room.
Also, I think the other thing that speaks poorly about Maurizio Sarri is that half the time he doesn't even turn up to his media. He sends Gianfranco Zola to do it.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of occasions where he doesn't even bother addressing the media. I think, the fact that he didn't shake Pep Guardiola's hand in the weekend.
No, that was poor. I thought that was very poor from him.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think it was Jamie Carragher or Guy Neville. One of them had a very good point. The Chelsea team over the years, whenever they've even been bad, they've always been strong at the back. They've always had a spine, whereas they seem weak now. Like if they don't fancy it against a good side, they'll get run over. Similar to what Arsenal have been, I'd say, over the last few years.
But it's strange because they still have a good team. You look at Antonio Rudiger, when he first came to the club, was fantastic. One of the best, I think, performing centre-backs in the league. Cesar Azpilicueta is probably the bargain of the decade that Chelsea have had for £7-8 million, whatever it was. He's been fantastic as both a right-back and a centre-back. And then Marcos Alonso, over the last 2 years, has been one of the best left-backs in the division. And like you said, now they're all so frail and they're very easy to break down. And it's strange how quickly things turn and how it's all gone pear-shaped so quickly under the nose of everyone. No one looked at Chelsea this season and thought, well, I don't know about that. I don't know if their team's up to it. They made some good acquisitions. Mateo Kovacic on loan and obviously Jorginho, like we mentioned. It looked like they were going to challenge for the title, as per.
Yeah, early in the season, obviously our producer Marcus, he was when we had a discussion early in the season, he was saying Chelsea could win the title this season, and I said to him,
they have no reason not to.
I said I don't think they have a striker to do it. So I said I never thought they would,
well,
but I never.
Maybe that is a reason. Yeah.
I said I never thought they had a striker to do it, but I said I didn't think they'd end up being. I thought they finished top 4. I thought Chelsea would have been almost guaranteed top 4.
I would certainly have banked on them finishing above Man United and Arsenal.
Yeah, so would I at the start of the season. So it's strange, but like I said, I think I can't see Sarri lasting after the season. I can't. I just don't see how you can.
Yeah.
When you've lost the dressing room.
Like I said, Roman Abramovich doesn't wait around. He's not someone who's going to accept. I mean, if they don't finish top 4, then he is. If they finish top 4, he might keep his job. But if they're not top 4, he's gone. There's no way on earth Abramovich won't pull the trigger.
I think the way he's keeping his job at the moment is they could still win 3 trophies. They're still in the hunt for 3 trophies. Obviously, they've got the final against City. They're still in the FA Cup, which they got us this weekend, and they still got the Champions League. So I think that's what's keeping his job at the moment.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, obviously, we say about the battle for the top 4. We obviously got United. We've mentioned obviously Chelsea now. What does Arsenal have to do? Arsenal's still in the fight. Obviously, still got Spurs into the title race as well. There's 2 big. What are Spurs battling for top 4? Or Spurs battling for the title?
I think Spurs are battling for the title. I think at the moment they're on 61 points.
I think they were 5 points. I think they're 5 points off top.
5 points off top. I think Spurs are often they often go under people's radars. They've got, in my opinion, one of the best managers in world football. Undoubtedly, in my opinion, undoubtedly the best manager in the Premier League. I think he's fantastic. Maybe not above Pep Guardiola.
Yeah,
track record speaks for itself, but I think he is one of the most talented managers in the Premier League and in the world, and his squad is fantastic. And at the moment, they are playing well and they're getting results, and they don't have Harry Kane, they don't have Dele Alli, they're missing some of the key players. At the back, they've had injuries to deal with this season, so they've been rotating. They're playing people like Harry Winks and Oliver Skipp in midfield, so they're getting the youth to come through, and they're still getting the results they're getting. They're still keeping just in touch of City and Liverpool. So I think it's difficult to imagine them winning the title because Man City are so dominant, and Liverpool on their day, which this season has been most days, are unplayable. So I don't know where they drop the points that Spurs can earn. And if Spurs make a mistake, if they lose 1 or 2 games between now and the end of the season, they're done, they're out.
Yeah.
So it's very tough, but you can't say they're not in with the chance because, all it takes is 1 or 2 mistakes from City or Liverpool, which I can't see happening, but all it takes is 1 or 2 mistakes and Spurs are right up there.
Except Spurs, without Harry Kane, they didn't have Son for a while either. Obviously, they haven't got Ali. They've won 10 of the last 12 games, so they keep going under the radar of people because they're not really smashing teams. They're not really going through teams.
That's the difference.
They keep winning like 1-0, 2-1s. Yeah. They're winning quite quietly, really. Going on people's radar. They're not really battling for top 4, so everyone's on about Chelsea, United, Arsenal for top 4. Everyone's on about that, and then obviously for the title, everyone's on about the City and Liverpool. So Spurs are just there in third, going under the radar of everyone. And I think that's probably a good thing for Pochettino's side. If they go on as underdogs, I think that'd suit them a bit more than favourites because Spurs are known for being.
Just looking up a stat.
Spurs are known for being bottle jobs, really, aren't they? So.
Yeah, they do have that.
So I think the underdog thing, where they're not expected to win the league, they can't really bottle it, so I think that'll help them going forward. And obviously, like I said, still got Harry Kane to come back, still got Ali to come back. I think going forward, Spurs will have like I said, they'll have a good goal at the title, but as you said, City and Liverpool, I don't see them dropping enough points, and Spurs not dropping any to catch them.
The other thing with Spurs is, you look at the table, 20 games into the season, they are still the only team in the Football League, but also the Premier League, obviously, to not have drawn a game yet.
It's carried on
Every game they either win or lose.
It's carried on from last season as well.
Yeah,
I think they're in the 30s now. I think it's 31 games or 32 games they haven't drawn a game.
And that's really important because, you know, an awful lot of teams will concede a late equaliser, and that's it. It's a 1-1 draw, and it's 2 points dropped. And Spurs somehow have found a way to come through it each time. I mean, they have lost games, don't get me wrong, but they've done so well to really find that extra bit of strength they need to find to...
Especially when they haven't spent any money over the last 2 transfer windows, which is, again, a credit to Pochettino why he's been able to get out the side. But, for example, someone like Moussa Sissoko, who they signed and was very poor last season, he's been a different animal this season. If you actually watch him play, he's been outstanding. The only thing he hasn't added to his game is obviously goals and assists, but his general play and all-round play in the team, he's been outstanding for Spurs. And it's been a big surprise for him, I think.
Heung-min Son is the other one
who
was always a good player, but has really come into his own this season, and his name's
been known
unplayable.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think he's a player I think any team in the Premier League would love to have in their squad.
Yeah.
He can create something out of nothing.
And also, he's so versatile. He can play as an out-and-out winger, or he can play as a striker. He's so multi-talented, and he can move around that forward area, and he just chips in with goals, assists, left, right, centre, and he's such a value to have, especially when you're missing people like Harry Kane, because I think having to rely on Fernando Llorente to fight to the Premier League title it's not going to happen. He does what he's meant to do, but for the large part, he's not good enough. But I think they can offset that issue they have by having people like Heung-min Son that are, you know, so influential.
Completely agree. Obviously, we've mentioned Chelsea, we've mentioned United, mentioned Spurs. What do Arsenal have to do to get top 4? Can they do it? Have they got the squad to do it? Especially because the main concern for Arsenal fans, which you see on Twitter every week, you see on YouTube every week, their attack is good. When you've got Aubameyang, Lacazette, you're going to be alright scoring goals. But their problem is defensively, especially this season when they're getting injuries. They've got Bellerin out for the season. Obviously, Lichtsteiner's been awful. He's probably been the worst signing in the Premier League from the summer because everyone thought he'd be so good. Signed on a free for Juventus, won 7 Serie A titles. Everyone expecting something great, but he's been so poor, costing them a lot of goals. The defence changing all the time. What do you think they can? What do they need?
I don't know what Arsenal need to do. You're right. They need to strengthen defensively. I don't think they've got any chance of competing this season. I don't even think top 4 is going to happen for Arsenal. Lichtsteiner, it's a bad signing on paper. You look at you say he's won so many titles with Juventus. He's in his early 30s. He's slow. Anyone who scouts him can tell he's slow, and he plays in a league where speed isn't an essential. It's defensive. The Italian football division is so tactically defensive that if you have the ability on the ball, if you've got the right ability to read the game, you don't need to have all that pace. But in the Premier League, it's so dynamic, it's so fast paced. You need to be able to keep up, and he's not all there. But I think you're right. The back has been a real issue for them. I think in the middle, thankfully, Koscielny's come in to a little bit of a not form, but he's come back into the fold a little bit after spending quite a bit of time out, either unfit or not being selected. But then you look at who he has to partner. Socrates has not stolen headlines like I thought he might, signing from Borussia Dortmund, but he hasn't been that bad. But then you look at people like Shkodran Mustafi. I don't think he's a top 4 centre back. I don't.
The general consensus with Arsenal fans and other teams, obviously, who watch Arsenal, Socrates has been right for him. He's probably been the best defender. The general consensus, anyways. He's an actual leader as well, so he leads the backline when he plays. Obviously, it's disappointing when he doesn't play, but then Mustafi's been dreadful. And then when you keep mixing and matching every time, you're not going to get any consistency, and that's the main issue. So if you look at how many clean sheets they've had, it's barely any, because they always concede. They even concede on the game against Huddersfield, the worst team in the league. Against Cardiff, same thing again. They keep conceding to the...
We've conceded to Huddersfield.
Yeah, but you're bad.
Thanks. Yeah, I can't see it.
Yeah. Title race. Liverpool, City. We'll go more on this in future, but I wanted to get just a quick reaction from him.
I have a horrible, horrible feeling in a pit of my stomach that tells me it's Liverpool's year. And I hate it. And I'm actively cheering on Man City every game they play. But I can't see it.
They've gone from 7 points clear to, if they win the game in hand, 3 points clear. But on the other hand, the game in hand is against us. So
yeah. Well, I think that Liverpool know now that they can't waste any games. They can't lose. They can't drop points because you watch Man City. I mean, I know they've had a couple of bum results over the course of the year, but games like 6-0 against Chelsea, they're just
mad.
Forget the result. How they play, how they set up, how dominant they are. They're just a force. Pep Guardiola has turned them into an absolute force, and they will sweep up everything they can. And they have the winning mentality to know that they cannot afford to have any slip-ups from now to the end of the season. So they will be hunting Liverpool like nothing else. And Liverpool, if I was a Liverpool fan now, I'd be very, very nervous, but also excited because I think they're in a really strong position, but one mistake and it's gone.
If, say, we defeat Liverpool in 2 weeks' time, then City are top of the league. Same games.
And they have,
but just better goal difference.
They have over 10 goals. Yeah,
that's the difference. They've got the same amount of points at the moment. Liverpool got the game in hand, but if we beat them, then it's in City's hands.
Yeah, that will be a huge, huge game.
Obviously, we finished from the top 6. We mentioned Everton a little bit there when you said you could see it against Huddersfield. Let's move on to that. Not been a great season for yourself, especially since the Liverpool game.
No, it hasn't.
How would you sum up what's gone on over the last few months?
It's been a shambles, is how I'd sum it up. I think we started the season well, and I'm really pleased, I was really pleased with Marco Silva, what he was doing on the pitch. He made Everton play a lot better football. Not hard, after having Sam Allardyce, who plays dinosaur football. Apparently that's fake news, but you know, how he gets on the radio every week, I don't know. We've improved a lot as a footballing side up to this point, and you've seen certain players develop and improve, and then the Liverpool game comes around in December. We play really well. We deserve a draw. We really do deserve a draw, and I don't even know how to explain what happened with the goal. Something happened, and
something happened with Little Lamb Pickford.
Don't start with me. Something happened, and Pickford conceded a last-minute winner. Divock Origi, of all players, scored it.
Well, he couldn't really miss, could he?
But since then, it's just been. I don't know what happened really. It's almost like that absolutely shattered all the confidence they had, and even the odd positive result we picked up, the odd win here and there. We've lost to Brighton, to Leicester, to Wolves, to Watford, and that's all in the space of 2 months.
And the other teams around you as well.
They're all teams around us, but they're all teams that we should be beating. You look at on paper, Everton are, I wouldn't say undoubtedly, but probably the 7th best team.
We had this discussion off camera.
We did, yeah. If you look at on paper the squad we've got, there's no reason Everton should not be 7th or at least fighting for 7th. And at the moment, they're fighting to stay on the top half of the Premier League. The squad is not performing at all. Gylfi Sigurdsson, for example, has been abysmal for 2 months. Richarlison has disappeared. At the back, we're very shaky. In goal, Jordan Pickford has looked a shadow of his former self the last 2 months. And then you look at Marco Silva, the way he sets up the team, the formations we play, his tactical substitutions are poor. He keeps playing this 4-2-3-1 formation, which strangles midfielders. It means Andre Gomez has no creativity. Gylfi Sigurdsson's lost. Richarlison doesn't feature in the game enough. And then we're rotating our strikers every week. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Cenk Tosun, Richarlison up front. Last week, we start against Watford. We started with 2 strikers, Gylfi in the hole, and no wide men. What's that? We haven't done that before. And as you can imagine, we had no pace and we were absolutely starved of support. So he doesn't know what he's doing, in the sense that he doesn't know what his best team is and he doesn't know what his best formation is. He's still trying to go through them. But I think you can excuse how we've been playing if we're getting results, and you can excuse poor results if we're playing well. And the fact of the matter is we're not doing either. We're not playing well. We're not getting results. We are really just sort of trundling along. And it's worrying because, we lost to Millwall in the Cup. That was the last thing we could compete for this season, realistically. We could still come 7th. It's not numerically impossible, but it's an uphill battle. Wolves have got a game in hand now, and they're already 4 points ahead. And they look good. They look good every week.
The issue for Everton is now, if I was an Everton fan like yourself, probably be looking behind you more than ahead of you at the moment, the way it's going with the results they've been. You're thinking, where's our next points coming from? If you look at your home fixtures, you've got, was it 4 or 5 of the top 6 at home?
Before the end of the season, we've got Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea home and Spurs away.
Can you actually see any of the, getting points in any of those games at the moment?
No,
exactly. That's what I mean.
In the past, we've been able to make Goodison Park a fortress where, no matter how good you are, you can still come to Goodison Park fearing Everton and going, right, well, when they've got the Bear Pit fan support behind them, they're difficult to play, and now they're not. And that's partly a fault of fans who have become quite toxic, and it doesn't breed a positive environment. But also, players are just not playing for the manager. And similar to Sarri, it does seem sometimes that Silva can't motivate the players, that they're not really rising to the levels they should be. You look at them on paper, as I've said, they're not bad players, but they're playing so poorly. And you pick out, there's a couple of people, I think, like Lucas Digne, for example. It's been fantastic all season long, and I think it's unfair that he is now stuck in this team that he's in, where people just don't care. They don't care. They're not trying hard enough.
So I think Cardiff are in 15th at the moment, and if they beat you, didn't you say they're 3 points off you then?
I read something online that if they win the next game, if they beat us, they'll be 3 points behind us. Which, given how they started the season, when they were almost a certainty to go down because their squad was awful, how it's ever got to this point is ridiculous.
And it's quite close down the bottom as well. I think there's something like 4 points between 18th and 13th. So it's something really close. So if Everton ain't careful, if you do stop losing and not picking up points in games you should be winning in, like for example Cardiff, then you could be facing a relegation fight.
Yeah, I mean, away from home, so it's difficult because it's away, but we've got Cardiff, we've got Newcastle, we've got Burnley, no, that's at home, Burnley's at home. We've got Cardiff, Newcastle, I can't remember who else we've got. A couple of games that you should win between now and the end of the season. But you do look at that Cardiff game and you see the form they're in at the moment. They beat Southampton, who started the season poorly, but have been fairly good under Ralph Hasenhüttl. He's turning around quite well. And now I'm starting to worry, and obviously at the moment, the whole tragic story with Emiliano Sala, they've got this extra motivation to really work as hard as they can and get each, make each result count. And the fans, understandably, are backing them to the absolute hilt. Same with Neil Warnock and all of the squad. They want them to do so well for a number of reasons. It does make me worry because I think we're going away to the Cardiff City Stadium. The fans we take will be great because they always are, the away support, but
Cardiff's home,
it's very easy for us to get absolutely outswarmed by the home fans then, who are all going to be singing, for Emiliano Sala and for the team. And then if Everton crumble on the pitch and if Cardiff win, then I really don't know what's going to happen. And the debate is always, is Marco Silva the right man for Everton long term? I don't know. I was sure he was, and now I don't know. But I certainly think he shouldn't be sacked.
That was what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, obviously, lucky for you for Cardiff, I don't think the Ask can play against you, so that's good news for you. Because he's been good for Cardiff since he signed. Even though he hasn't scored the goal. He hasn't scored a goal, but he's played really well. But the second point I was going to ask you is, obviously on Twitter, there's all these massive debates with Everton fans to sack Silva, not to sack Silva. It saves more time. Just sack him now because it's not working. I was going to ask you, what was your opinion on it? How long would you give him?
It's really difficult to judge because I think Farhad Moshiri has spent an awful lot of money to get Marco Silva. Before we appointed Sam Allardyce, we wanted Silva when he was at Watford. We approached them, we offered, I think it was up to 10 million, and Watford rejected it. As soon as Allardyce was gone, Silva was first choice. So he's someone that Moshiri has wanted for a long time, and he's obviously happy with his purchase. We've got Marcel Brands from PSV, who's our sporting director of football, whatever his title is, and he has got a glistening reputation bringing in talent, and he's working really well alongside Marco Silva to bring in those players. You then look at if Farhad Moshiri sees it as a long-term project, and he sees him as the manager of the future to build this team, build this dynasty on Merseyside, where do you draw the line? Where do you go, right, we tried, this has failed? Because the argument that I've used myself and a lot of people have used online is, well, Everton can't keep sacking managers. You can't go, I'll hire a manager, starts off well, he falls off, sack him, get a new one, and keep doing that, rinse and repeat, because your club never moves forward then. You're all staying the same, you're not developing. The issue is, if you keep repeating that to yourself and say, oh, we can't sack the manager, we can't keep doing that, then he basically gets away with murder. And there comes to a point where you need to pull the trigger, and I don't know when that is. I do think if Silva started to drop towards the relegation zone, like if we started to slip 13th, 14th-ish, and we were still losing games, then it's the same thing that happened to Ronald Koeman. You have to go. When Ronald Koeman was sacked, we were 13th. But I'm really hoping that players can put themselves in the shop, well, whether they want to put themselves in the shop window or whether they actually care about the club, that between now and the end of the season they can really fight. That Marco Silva can experiment with some of the young players, the players that don't play very often. Just loaned up Benny Benegami to Wigan. That's a shame. I would like to have seen him play a little more between now and the end of the season. But even people like Morgan Schneiderlin and James McCarthy, who don't play very often, who we don't know whether they can add something to the squad or not. I'd like to see a lot of changes made, so that, one, it sets us up on a platform for next season, but two, it gives Silva the best opportunity, because I want him to succeed. I really do. I like him as a manager. I like what he says. I think he talks a lot of sense. He's young. He's talented, undoubtedly, and he hasn't yet proven that he knows how to deal with that slump. He had the same at Hull, same at Watford. He needs to show that he knows how to overcome and change everything about his game. Be what's the word?
Flexible.
Pragmatic. Be pragmatic. Approach it in the right way, and show that he is the man to take us forward. Because I think he can be, but at the moment he's not, and he needs to prove that he can live up to his.
I did see a tweet saying, when you're saying you can't sack managers because you've just been sacking managers, I think you're in a bad position there. If that's the reason you can't sack him, because you would just sack someone else. I think it's always.
You're right. Then you have to ask bigger questions. Is it the manager that's at fault, or is it the players who just don't want to work?
Yeah.
But then you have the issue then of how long do you leave it? Because if you go, right, we'll wait till the summer and see what he does. When he gets to the summer, we spend 50 to 100 million, and then we're still slipping down and we're playing poorly between the summer and January. Then you've almost wasted the next season again. So it's, do we want to waste next season, or do we want to start afresh slate? I don't want to waste it. I want Marco Silva to be successful. I just don't know whether he will be yet.
Obviously, for the football talk, we've got loads of stuff to talk about still, but for time, I think we should talk about them next week.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think we'll have a lot of topics next week, so make sure you tune in. As I said, press that subscribe button. To end this podcast, we're going to end with something that's happening in 2 weeks' time. A big game, Rugby Union, Six Nations time. Unbeaten Wales against unbeaten England. How do you think it's going to go, Cuff?
Oh, we're going to win.
I'm not going to lie, I'm after the first 2 rounds of the Six Nations, despite we won both games, I'm really, really worried.
I think what you said to me was, at this rate, we're going to get absolutely pasted.
And like I said,
absolute pasting.
Absolute. Honestly, if Wales play like they have against Italy and France, and England play like they have against Ireland and France, we are going to get a pasting, and I'm worried. I am worried. The Italy game, obviously, we did make a lot of changes, but you still expect to see better. We haven't had a bonus point in either game. So something that's really weird is, say we did beat England and we won every game in Six Nations, and England lost to us, but they won every other game with a bonus point. It goes down to points difference then, so we're both on 20 points, which I don't agree with.
Does seem a bit unfair.
Because then that means England could win Six Nations despite us not losing.
Yeah.
Which is really weird. But yeah, back to the actual game itself. Yeah, I'm really worried we could get a pace in the way it's going. Because England have been so good. I will give them that. Against Ireland, they dominated the physicality against Ireland, and then against France, the kicking game just ruined France. France didn't know what they're doing. It's a bad French team, so I don't even go too much on England for the French game, but they were clinical. But the Ireland game is the one you've got to look at and think they just beat probably the best team in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
And I thought fair play.
Well, that's it. I mean, people who have watched podcasts before will know that I don't really watch rugby. I don't really know what I'm talking about. I let you kind of run with it. But from what I have seen, the little fragments of games I've watched, England have looked compact, very solid, and I think going into the first game against Ireland, we said that was what was going to be a huge game for England, because Ireland is so good. And if England can win, if England can start the Six Nations positively, then who knows what can happen, and we did, and we got a bonus point. So, and you were saying you had your fingers crossed for France to do some damage, but I mean, it wasn't even a contest.
No, they were abysmal.
And they are looking good. They're looking very dominant.
It makes it look how bad we were against France, because we were 16-0 down half time. That's how bad we were first half. Luckily, France.
I hadn't even thought about that. That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
France literally handed us the game. Like, honestly, if France didn't make two mistakes,
they had at one point put several past you, whereas it never even came down to that.
No, I'm really worried. But obviously, it'd be a different team. I think we'd be stronger. Never know with Gatland. Could be luring England to a false sense of security, and then we come out.
But also, it's a grudge match.
Yeah, the advantage is we're at home. It's in Cardiff.
England, Wales, same as England, Scotland. There's always more riding on it than
Yeah.
just the result. So, I mean, Welsh patriotism, you might be able to rise.
Well,
to
there's
the
always that
occasion.
song, innit? As long as we beat the English,
Yeah, that's what I
It's
mean.
big,
With
you know.
this Welsh patriotism, you might be able to rise to the occasion. But
especially in Cardiff.
you're gonna
That's a
need
big
to
positive.
do a lot.
Big positive in Cardiff. So I can't wait for that. We put a bet on
It's
it.
actually in the 4 years I've known you, it's the first year we'll be watching the game together. So
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to
I
it.
normally go home to watch the game.
Normally runs away back to Wales.
For two reasons, really. Just in case we lose, but also I normally have something on to watch it, and something I go.
So I'm looking forward to it this time.
I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it.
Hopefully, it should be even sweeter when we
Prediction.
beat you.
It makes it even sweeter that we're both unbeaten as well. So the winner of this would probably
Yeah,
go on.
yeah. There's more riding on it
Okay.
because at the moment they're both in, with the
First
team
and
chance of
second.
winning the whole competition. Yeah.
So prediction
I'm gonna go England win.
by how many?
I don't think it'll be massive. But I do think we'll be quite comfortable.
I'm gonna go with Wales by 6. I might be in a bit.
Well, I mean, you're not gonna say England are going to win.
No, I might be a bit
you have to be
optimistic. Yeah, but England won to us what they did against France for the King game because our back three are good enough under the high ball, and we have players who can take control of a game. It's just if we play like we have been, it'll just murder us.
Just whether they turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for our first episode.
We're back. We're back.
So make sure, please subscribe to us on this YouTube channel because it means a lot to us. It does.
Yeah, it does.
And it'll give us more motivation to keep making more content, not just podcasts but other stuff as well. So make sure you do. All our social medias are in the description below.
Especially follow Twitter. I'm not very good at it. I'm good at my own one, but not very good at the UTF
real-
one. But especially producer Marcus and Gav, they are very good. They keep up to date all the breaking news stories, and
So-
we cover a lot of stuff on the Twitter account.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
definitely
So
that.
make sure, definitely Twitter. Instagram's always good as well. We do post on there, and Facebook as well. We haven't posted as much recently, but we will try and get back to it as much as we can.
Mainly Twitter and subscribe. They're
Yeah.
the main things we'd like from you today.
So yeah, it's it from me and Cuff, the ETF podcast. Make sure you like this video, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, Pepsi.